Jacob here, about to start making some cold calls. I'm shooting for at least 60 cold calls today, hopefully 100 with the power dialer. I'm about to start calling for about an hour, my calling block, and I felt some resistance before the call, so I thought I'd make a video to talk about it, help you guys out, help me get pumped up for these calls. Cold calling is probably one of the hardest things that you can do to make sales. It's also one of the easiest and fastest ways to make a sale. What do I mean by that? So why is it hard? It's hard because getting rejected over an email is not so bad. Getting rejected over a text message is not so bad. They send you an email saying no, you're fine, right? When you're on the phone with someone and you're talking to them, it's raw. It's instant. It's in the moment. If they say no, it hurts. It stings. They can scream at you. They can yell at you. They can curse you out. They can hang up on you, right? And that hurts. That can hurt. So it can be scary, right? You don't know what you're going to say. What if they don't like me, right? All these thoughts go into your head, and it really creates a lot of friction between you and pressing dial. But why is cold calling awesome? Cold calling is awesome because you can book. I'm booking 6 to 7% of my phone calls, meaning every 100 dials I make, I'm booking 6 to 7 meetings with decision makers I've booked a meeting 2 weeks ago with the director of product after speaking to the vice president of sales at a $10 billion company by cold calling him. So it works, okay? It works, and it's the fastest way to make money because there's nothing faster and more effective than reaching out to your target market with a targeted offer, telling them what it is and seeing how they respond. And if you can figure out what the code is, you unlock the keys to the kingdom. You can now scale it and continuously get the right message in front of the right people quickly. So what's my advice to overcome this, and how do you really figure out, or really more so convince yourself to call? That's the hardest part, is getting yourself to call. So the first thing is the following. Start with the script. Know what you're going to say in the first 10 seconds. I just posted a video about this. Just say, hey, this is so-and-so with this company. How's it going? They'll say, I'm good. How are you? Or they'll just say, I'm good. Great. The reason for the call is, give them a reason why you're calling in one sentence, move into a value proposition, and then ask them a qualifying question. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how to do all of this. If you want to know more, you can watch my other videos. But the point is, when you have the first 10 to 15 seconds in mind, you can at least stick to that. And then from there, the conversation will go where it goes, and you'll be able to, over the course of 50 to 100 calls, get feedback and really improve. So I'm going to keep this short and just say the following. What are my tips to overcome the fear of cold calling? And why should you? Well, number one tip, I just said, know what you're going to say in the first 10 seconds. Have a battle cry, right? Know what you're going to do. Number two is you really need to know that the hardest part is just making the call, and everything else from there is fine. Don't spend a bunch of time trying to figure out the perfect thing to say, researching them a ton. Just make a list of people. I recommend using a power dialer like air call, because what it will do is it will just, as soon as you're done the call, it'll just call the next person. You don't really have time to think. You don't really have time to mess around. It makes your calling a lot faster. And that brings me to the third tip. Cold calling is a numbers game. Sales is a numbers game. Yes, you want to be good on the phones. That's why I'm crushing it right now with cold calling. I'm not being very humble. But the point is, when you get good and you know what you're doing, you can crush it with cold calling. It can be very effective. But one of the keys to the kingdom is I can't book 5 meetings a day if I don't call 100 people. So that means I have to call, right? And I need to make sure that I don't waste time between calls, because it's a numbers game. If someone is like, you suck, and they hang up on me, great, on to the next one, right? I had a person, when I booked my very first meeting with a really solid company from cold calling for Service Bell, my first call of the day, I got rejected and laughed at by a VP of marketing, who, by the way, is going to buy our product pretty soon because one of his competitors just did. So they're going to want it eventually. I was like, great, I'll just have to call some more people. I literally told him, he's like, no means no, man. I was like, great, I'll make some more calls. Have a good day. Hung up the phone, next call, meeting booked. You got to know it's a numbers game, okay? You can't expect every call to go well. You want to do your best on every call. Every call is not going to go well. You just have to start calling. And as soon as you're calling, you're just like, okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. And once they answer, it's game time. That's the third thing. It's game time when they're on the phone. So make sure you have it down. Opener, reason for the call, value prop, qualifying question. And then my last tip for you is you need to know how to overcome objections and always ask for the meeting. Always ask for the meeting. One objection I get is, I'm not the right person for this. I'm calling on salespeople. So I tell them, okay, I get you're not the right person for this, but if you were coaching one of your reps and they got this objection, how would you tell them to overcome it? And then they just tell me, and then they're like, all right, that's pretty good. I'll meet with you. I can also say something like, look, I still value the conversation with you. I'd love to chat with you later this week. see how this could help you, and then bring it to so-and-so who you mentioned is the right person for this, right? If they say, okay, but now's not a good time, call me back in a month, I say, great, I'll call you back in a month. Why don't we just set up a tentative invite a month out? I live and die by the calendar. We'll just schedule it, next month. If you need to reschedule, that's fine. Is that cool with you? They'll say yes. Great. Lock in the meeting. Always lock in the meeting if you can. Push back, overcome objections. And if you do this enough and you get good enough, you will book a lot of meetings. I'm now fired up to make some cold calls. So I'm going to go make some cold calls. I'll let you know how it goes. I'll post it in the comments down below the video, how many meetings I booked from these cold calls today. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you think. All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.